Hey everybody, Stephanie here with the Machine Gun Nest with our legal update. Today we're talking about the sanctions against Russia, banning the importation of Russian rifles and ammo. Now, the Biden administration, through the State Department, issued this on Friday, August 20th, 2021. But this story actually starts on August 20th of 2020. So what happened? There is a man in Russia named Alexei Navalny. Now, let me tell you about this guy. He is one of the top opposition leaders in Russia. He is a prominent activist. He has spent a ton of time in jail, and he's probably #1 on Putin's crap list. The Wall Street Journal even said that he is Putin's #1 most feared man. Putin is out to get this guy. So what happened? On August 20th, he was on a flight from Tomsk to Moscow when he suddenly started screaming on the airplane. Everybody around him was freaking out, thinking, what is going on? What's happening with this man? And he realized, oh my gosh, I've been poisoned. He was screaming because he was about to die, not necessarily from the pain. He was terrified. The flight made an emergency landing, and they were able to get him into a hospital right away, where he was put in a medically induced coma and on a respirator for about a month. He did end up making a recovery, which was just crazy. This guy was expected to die. It turns out that through the medical reports while he was in there, that he was poisoned with a chemical nerve agent called Novichok. So they discovered this in his body, but the medical examiners were actually a little bit nervous to come forth with this information because in the hospital he was surrounded by so many officers. They knew that there was some dirty business at play. All of this was just very Russian in nature. So what happened? So fast forward 1 year, and surprisingly, Biden has chosen this as a hill to die on and has issued a sanction to Russia as a result of this poisoning. So there are 4 conditions to be met as a result of this. So this is a 12-month ban on the importation of Russian ammo and firearms. The first condition is that Russia is to provide documentation that they are not using chemical weapons. The second condition is providing documentation that they're not preparing to use chemical weapons. The third is that they must ensure that inspectors can come investigate these facilities and make sure that they're clean. And fourth, Russia needs to make some kind of worthwhile restitution to Mr. Navalny and his family. So they have 12 months to do this. So this ban only extends 12 months, and then it'll be Biden's prerogative after that if he wishes to extend it. Now, what's so interesting about this is that if you have a current Form 6 filed with the ATF to import, you are allowed to continue with your current orders, but you're not allowed to place any more. But if you have a pending application, those are automatically negated and you will not be allowed to import. So what does that mean for us here in the United States? Surprisingly, Russian ammo comprises about 40% of our market. If you shoot wolf, brown bear, Tula, anything like that, this is going to really affect the cost of using the range regularly. I mean, they're steel-cased ammo. They're known for decent quality control. I mean, this is pretty decent ammo that a lot of us use to just shoot and enjoy some range time. This is really great practice ammo. So what does that mean for you? What does that mean for us? So being that there's going to be about a 40% void in our market, it's going to have a massive impact on all of us regular shooters. Right now, we're already in a tough time with ammo as manufacturers are scrambling to supply the demand that's put on them. Now, what most people don't realize is that most ammo manufacturers here in the United States are actually assembling the components of the ammo. For those of you who don't know, a 1 round is comprised of the primer, we have the shell, we have the propellant, which is like the powder, and then we have the projectile. So most manufacturers are just putting these pieces through and assembling. There are a lot of manufacturers in country that are producing rimfire primers, but there aren't very many that are producing centerfire primers. The cost of producing these in the United States is much higher than it is in a lot of those Eastern Bloc countries. Honestly, they're produced in a lot of countries where, I hate to say it, but they almost don't value human life as much. There is a lot of danger in producing a lot of these primers, and so to keep the costs down, most of them are just purchased from these countries and imported. And so I'm curious to see what will happen with our manufacturers here. There are a lot of up-and-coming manufacturers, but they're still going to run into the same problem of not being able to acquire these primers. So my prediction is I don't think that there's going to be anything here in the country that's going to help alleviate this burden right away. I imagine that brass is going to go through the roof. roof, and that range ammo is just going to become even more difficult to come by until more manufacturers here in the United States are able to produce this at a scale where it makes sense. So what is this all about? Is this just about sanctions? Is this really just about Mr. Navalny? I mean, we always, of course, want to support somebody who's against Putin. But it's interesting to me that this is the hill that Biden has chosen to die on. So we're thinking this probably is some kind of backdoor gun control to make it a little bit more difficult for people to engage with their Second Amendment right. Stay updated as this story develops. We'll fill you in with more.